Hi, my name is Nico Borst. I'm a pianist, a composer, and this is Nullatrum. Today I'm going to be talking about how you can sound like game composer Yoko Shimomura with your own music. You probably noticed it, but the background music you were just hearing is Shimomura's most well-known piece, Dearly Beloved, which is the title theme from her most well-known franchise, Kingdom Hearts. To give a bit of background, Shimomura has been composing for games for over 30 years, and her compositions are as numerous as they are diverse. Let me list off some of the games under her belt. Every Kingdom Hearts game, Legend of Mana, Final Fantasy XV, Street Fighter II, Parasite Eve, every Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga and Partners in Time game, Xenoblade Chronicles, and many others. With such a large compendium of repertoire, how can we begin to understand how she crafts her music? Well, once you start to listen and start studying the music she's written over the years, there are some trends that you notice, and these trends lead you to understand more of the process behind her music. While we're here, let's start with Dearly Beloved. There are several features that are ubiquitous amongst her works in this one piece alone, starting with the melody. The melody of the first section comes from a simple 4-note motive. In much of her music, Shimomura starts with a simple motive and builds content from there. For example, in her title theme from Legend of Mana, practically the entire piece is built from one motive. Another example of this start from simplicity approach is in Stand Your Ground from Final Fantasy XV. There is much more than just one musical idea here, but again, much of the piece is built from this single, simple motive, just like in Dearly Beloved. So if you want to write a Shimomura-esque melody, start with a simple motive and build from there. One more thing we can glean from the Dearly Beloved motive is the intervals it uses. She likes to repeat motives that enforce a circular motion in some way. Notice the contour of this motive, for example. Down a perfect fourth, down a major second, and up a major sixth, and back down a major second to where we started. Circular. Comparing this with other examples, like in Legend of Mana or Final Fantasy XV, we see this circular motion everywhere. One last feature of Dearly Beloved I'd like to share is the accompaniment pattern. Notice how we have these arpeggios built by leaping fifths. In an A-flat major chord, the B-flat is not a chord tone, so when this E-flat leaps up to a B-flat, it treats it as an appoggiatura, which resolves down by step. Sometimes, like in Title Theme from Legend of Mana, the fifth will become part of the chord and enforce a ninth harmony. But in either case, this series of leaping fifths is often used in Shimomura's accompaniment patterns. So let's get a bit more structural now. How does Shimomura create phrases? She often uses something we call sentence structure. Let me illustrate this with a visual. A motive is introduced, the motive is repeated, then an extension to that idea, which is usually double the length, is added. In Kingdom Hearts Dearly Beloved, here's the motive. Here it is again. And here is an extension of that motive, twice as long. In Legend of Mana's title theme, it's the same process. Motive, motive, 2-measure extension. Somnus from Final Fantasy XV is the same. Motive, motive, twice as long extension. Once you start looking for these sentence structures, you'll find them everywhere in Shimomura's music. Now, if we zoom out a bit more and look at the bigger picture, what kind of forms do Shimomura's music take? This is something that changes depending on the function of music she is writing for. But generally, she'll have a sort of ternary form, especially in her title themes. Look at Somnus from Final Fantasy, for example. We have a slow introduction, the theme builds, and suddenly a fast-paced middle section crashes in before fading out to return to a brief, slow coda. Legend of Mana does the same thing, despite being made about 17 years earlier. Slow introduction, fast middle section, slow, brief outro. Consider this ternary-ish form if you want to emulate the structure she uses in her pieces. So with motives, phrases, and form, we now have a rough skeleton of how Shimomura outlines her music. Let's get into some of the juicy stuff now that gives her music such a brilliant color. Harmony. I think this is the next important step to getting that Shimomura feeling. First, listen to the brief example from Legend of Mana. I love everything about this piece so much. How the strings slide in, how the harmony moves unexpectedly, and how the tonal center is ambiguous. Notice how the B-flat harmonies fluctuate between B-flat and B-flat sharp 11. We often see this tonic prolongation with Shimomura's harmonic patterns. In Kingdom Hearts 2, she uses a 1-2-4-2-1 pattern in Lazy Afternoons. In Final Fantasy 15, she uses a 1 augmented 1 pattern in Bros on the Road 2. And in the title theme from Legend of Mana, we see a 1 flat 2 1 pattern regularly. So, to emulate her harmonic motion, move by step and repeat a harmonic pattern. In terms of the tonal center of this piece, I would say that this piece starts in B-flat Lydian, modulates to D-flat major, then modulates to F minor. In essence, Shimomura is very comfortable with modulating to unexpected or distant keys, and sometimes not even returning back to tonic by the end of the piece. What's amazing, however, is that we're in F minor by the end, but the piece loops back, since it's a video game piece, back to B-flat Lydian perfectly, since the C's in the final bar are a common tone with the C appoggiatura in the first bar of the piece. So they just slide right back into place when the piece loops back. Also notice how Shimomura is comfortable with regularly using extended tertian harmony, 7th chords, 9th chords, 11th chords, and she's also fine with employing modal mixture, borrowing chords from other modes and using chromatic color chords as well. I think Shimomura is especially good at writing this music because she does only what is necessary. In Legend of Mana, you're trying to restore an ancient world filled with mystery and uncertainty. So of course, a piece with lots of modality, ambiguous tonal centers, and colorful harmonies paint this image better than a straightforward tonal piece with good old 5/1 cadences and simple modulations. Staying in this Mana universe, one way Shimomura gets to these distant harmonic worlds is by using modulation by sequence, where a motive or a pattern repeats, moving up or down to modulate to a new key. Take a look at this example from the title theme. Shimomura takes this motive and enforces 6 and 7 harmonies in G minor, repeats it up a minor second in G sharp minor, then up a minor third in B minor to create a powerful 7/1 cadence in our new key. By using modulation by sequence, these two otherwise distant keys, G minor and B minor, become easily traversable. It's also important to note that Shimomura often stays in Aeolian modes rather than minor modes by opting for subtonic chords rather than dominant chords, enforcing that flat 7 scale degree, meaning 7/1 is a cadence often used by Shimomura. Also pay attention to how the sequence occurs at a transition. She is preparing for the dramatic change in mood from tranquil piano to bombastic orchestra with dense rhythms. Rhythm is perhaps the most important part of Shimomura's compositional palette. In an interview, she said that she's gone to write a lot of battle BGM with layers and layers of detailed sound. What does she mean by layers and layers of detailed sound? Well, let's look at a memorable battle theme from Kingdom Hearts 2, Sinister Sundown, and maybe there we can find the answer. Just hearing that and looking over the score, you can see where these dense layers of rhythmically driving music unfold. Timpani, snares, synthesizers, trombones, and harps provide an animated accompaniment which gives her battle themes a hectic edge to them. But my question to you is, where is the melody in all of this? If you look in the strings and voices in the bottom staves, that's where a melody is. Notice how, unlike the accompaniment, the melody is rhythmically sparser. This is a common trend with Shimomura's music. In fast-paced sections, dense, fast accompaniment is contrasted with sparse, rhythmically slower melody. Notice the rhythms in the strings as well. They emphasize a different meter than the 4/4 meter we're in at the moment. This technique, called Hemiola, is also a common trend with Shimomura's faster-paced music. The melody will often enforce one metric idea, while the accompaniment may enforce several different meters. In Traveler's Road from Legend of Mana, we have a steady rhythmic 6/4 drive, but the accompaniment is really just shifting between 6/8 and 3/4, while the melody enforces a longer 6/4 meter. All the while, we generally have a harmonic drone on tonic, sometimes enforcing different harmonies and often marching up slowly the 6-7-1 progression. This is but a brief glimpse into the layers and layers of detailed sound that Shimomura creates. And if you want to learn more, I encourage you to read my paper I just published for my senior project. I'm a recent graduate now, by the way. I'll put the link to that paper in the description. Anyway, with this knowledge and a couple more things thrown in which I don't have time to cover, I present to you Happy Birthday in the style of Yoko Shimomura. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. It took so much work to make. I'd love it if you could show your appreciation by leaving a like, a comment, and subscribing and clicking that bell notification if you haven't already. There'll be more great game music related content to come in the future. I'm sure you're all gonna really like it. And leave a comment what other kind of composer you would be interested to learn about sounding like. Perhaps C418, or Toby Fox, or Koji Kondo, you know? There's a lot of great stuff to dive into and research. And finally, if you'd love to show your appreciation even more, please consider supporting me on Patreon. I have a grant, 1 patron as of now, thank you so much. But if you'd like to join me in making these videos, please support me on Patreon. Thank you guys for watching, and have a great day.